Hey everybody, I enjoyed the first chapter of the Sacred Pathway book. And so here's my response. First question: have I ever fallen into the expectation that one size fits all in the secret pathways? And unfortunately, that happens way too often, especially when preaching. I don't think about the different ways that people can experience God and the elements that I'm preaching about. And so I'll go for one thing or the other. And often, especially early in my walk, I just felt like I had to memorize more scripture, read more scripture. If I could just journal. Now, as I'm matured in my walk, I noticed that journaling is not a thing that I do well. And so I've put less pressure on myself. This book was great to open my eyes to different pathways, different ways of connecting with God. I've also all too often found myself comparing my journey with God with others, and in the way that they can connect through music or nature or things like that. And instead of figuring out the way that I personally connect with God, and able to, in order to do that, having a more intimate, close walk with God, figuring out which ones that I resonate with more and why. I resonate with being the enthusiast. I love the idea of the mystery of God, the tensions that we hold when worshiping Him, and the celebration. I, on staff here at our church, am constantly talking about what can we do to celebrate what God is doing in our midst. I also resonate with the senses. I love being able to connect with God through my senses. One of the places that I worshiped when I lived in Colorado Springs, actually the room smelled different, and I loved that walking in to times of connecting with God through smelling Him and hearing and lights. I can't be overexposed to those things. I just find joy in them. The sounds, I want to hear louder things than that. Professor, you asked, how do we avoid routine and generate new enthusiasm? I constantly find myself looking for new and next things. Part of my struggle is actually making sure that I'm not moving too fast into new and exciting, enthusiastic things. And I have to make sure that, yes, I've heard that song or this topic over and over again, but our congregation as a whole has not. I'm part of a youth pastors network that helps build unity and not division. We have an opportunity this week to actually host a tailgater for a bunch of students for our crosstown rival game. And I'm looking forward to the unity that's coming from the churches and not diversity. And we want to make sure that we are preaching the gospel of love. I love Bob Goff's new book, Everybody Always. Our job is to preach love and show love to everybody always, and let God sort out the rest. So that's my response to the beginning of Sacred Pathways. Thank you guys so much for listening.